Hi guys, we're on take 507 now. Am I the only one that goes through that? Let's see, what are the most common reasons for the board to discipline a counselor, and what is your personal reaction as you read through the list? Well, the most common violation in Texas is unprofessional conduct. Unfortunately, Texas does not list our counselors and their violations, so I am not able to go in and get further information. But I did not want to look at another state because I plan on living here for the rest of my life, and I really wanted to understand what happens with my state. So I kind of dug in, and I found out that in September of 2019, the state of Texas stopped being responsible for the advisory board, and it kind of became its own entity, and it's managed by we call it BHEC. It's the Behavioral Health Executive Council, but it wasn't started until September 1st of 2019. So what did I do? I dug in, and so they manage the Board of Examiners for Licensed Professional Counselor, MFT, LSW or LCSW, and psychologist. So, so I was able to find, well, I wasn't able to find anything anytime sooner than 2017. And that's before BHEC took them over. Since BHEC has taken them over, everything is locked down and I can't find anything. But prior to that, in 2017, I was able to find a report through the state of Texas from the Sunset Advisory Board, 2017. There were 309 violations reported. 135 were unprofessional conduct, which was the biggest one, which is what the question asks. And my response to all of these is, first, unprofessional conduct. I would love to understand more about what that is. But let's see, 68 is the standard of care. People, I guess, didn't feel heard. 27, practicing without a license. 14 for fraud, deceit, or bribery, and 13 for sexual misconduct. Of those complaints, of those 309, only 104 were investigated for and kind of ruled valid complaints. And so of that 309, we pared down to 104, and only 12 people were sanctioned. That is so much time and energy and work and stress for counselors and getting attorneys and everything else. That just, that's tough. And then that's also 309 people that didn't receive the empathy that they needed. They didn't find a place to be heard. That's 309 people in a year that sought counselors out and didn't get what they needed. That weighs on my heart. Let's see. Oh, my court case. Riley versus the Texas State Board of Examiners of Professional Counselors. That's the official name of the board in Texas. And BHEC manages that board. So what behavior led to the discipline? Riley messed up. She did not renew her licensure for over a year. And as a result, her licensure was revoked. And whenever she found out, she tried to do what she could do to make it right, and that didn't happen. And so she sued the Board of Examiners. And the ruling in that case was that the outcome was that even though the state of Texas, the Board of Examiners did not send a reminder to her that her licensure was about to expire, she still had an ethical obligation as a licensed professional in Texas and as a licensed professional counselor to ethically do the right thing, and which is that we have to be licensed. Let's see. Because she did not meet her ethical obligation to be licensed per state law, and renewal is part of that state law. Oh no, that's not correct. I apologize. She lost the license because she had an ethical obligation to be licensed, and that's from the state of Texas law. And then a renewal is part of that responsibility, and it goes into the ethics of that responsibility. So ACA says that the knowledge of the counselors must know and understand the ACA Code of Ethics and other applicable codes from the professional organization or certification and licensure bodies of which they are members. Lack of knowledge or misunderstanding is an ethical responsibility is not a defense against the charge of unethical conduct. So I didn't know or I didn't understand is not a valid thing, and you're still going to get in trouble. And in Texas, 2005 Occupational Code, Chapter 503, Licensed Professional Counselors. If you represent yourself as a counselor, or if you engage in the practice of counseling, you are considered a counselor and you must be licensed. So what I read into that to mean is that she has a responsibility as a counselor to take care of her, I don't know, it's not fiduciary responsibility, but her professional responsibility to make sure that she's a grown-up. Keep your license up to date. Let's see, what's next? What does the ACA Code of Ethics and your state code say about counselor impairment? There are a couple of sections on counselor impairment in APA, but the big one is section C.2.G. We have to monitor ourselves. If we have physical, mental, or emotional problems, and refrain from offering or providing professional counseling during the time where we're experiencing these. And that might look like that we have to stop counseling for a little while. It might look like that we need to get counseling of our own. It might look like we go and speak with the supervisor and help use their experience and know how to work our way through it without harming our client. And then it also says that we have a responsibility that if our supervisor or our supervisee or any of our peers are impaired and still trying to counsel clients, that we have an obligation to report them. What does this question bring to mind? And in the state of Texas, a licensee must not provide services while impaired by physical, mental, or medical conditions or by medicines, drugs, or alcohol. So it's not just you can't have a cocktail and then go to work. It's if you're on medication, if you have a cold, it sounds like NyQuil or DayQuil or something might put you out of the running for being able to counsel people in an ethical manner. And then what does it bring to mind? For me, what is the question that this brings to mind for me? Not exactly a question, but don't forget to renew your license. And then ethical responsibilities are not just within the profession. That these ethical guidelines that we go by can be used to in a court of law as a legal precedent. So that was kind of shocking. And how do we as counselors remember? Oh, this is my question. How do we as counselors remember every ethical obligation that we have? I mean, I know I've memorized what are they called? The principles in the preamble, but remembering every single nuance whenever they don't necessarily apply all the time is really something that kind of in the back of my mind worries me. But something that helps is Jeremiah 29:11. It says, For I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future, declares the Lord to the nation of Israel. Anyway, that's all I have for tonight.